welcome back to Shutterbug Club. I'm your host, Sue. I'm so excited to have you here today. If you forgot, this podcast is also a video podcast, so you can watch along on YouTube. However, I might be staring at my phone a little bit today because I have a lot of notes on my phone for today. I've prepared pretty much all day. I've been thinking about the topic of today's podcast episode, and I think it's a really good one, so I'm excited to have you here. Also, though, I don't think this color of shirt matches my skin tone very well. I think I'm like a winter or a fall when it comes to your colors, that like look good on you. I'm wearing like a beige-ish shirt, and especially because it's winter right now, so I almost look the color of my shirt. Anyways, not important. Let's get into the topic of this episode. Oh, forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Okay, so if you have ever struggled with pricing yourself, this episode is going to be for you. I'm going to share with you some perspective and things to think about when you are setting your prices. And as I promised before, I'm going to be completely vulnerable and open and honest with you on this podcast. So the truth is, I'm struggling right now. I'm in the valley of despair. As you know, if you've listened to previous episodes, this year I have raised my prices considerably and also changed my business a lot. And so, as a result of doing that, I've lost a lot of clients, a lot of previous clients, which can be challenging, but it was to be expected. I knew this would happen because I've changed my offer and my target audience who I'm trying to reach, and it's no longer my past clients. So let's talk about the Valley of Despair. If you don't know, the Valley of Despair is basically when you're working towards a goal, but the excitement has worn off and the progress is slower than you expected, and the path forward looks way harder than what you pictured. So you're basically standing at a fork in the road. You can either go back to what it was you were doing before, the comfortable, predictable routine, or you can push forward through the harder stretch, knowing that this is the part that actually grows you and gets you the results you're chasing. It's uncomfortable, but it's also the point where most real breakthroughs happen. So it's winter right now, December 1st, which has always been a slower season for me as a photographer in Colorado. It's cold, very cold outside, and there's no snow on the ground yet, so everything is just muddy and dead and ugly, and nobody wants to go out and take pictures at this time. Not only that, my main clientele are high school seniors for senior photos, and right now seniors are finishing finals and worrying about like Christmas break, so not typically thinking about senior photos at this time. So it's always been a much slower time for me in the winter. So I'm getting very few inquiries right now, and the few inquiries that I have gotten lately haven't booked me because they've said I'm too expensive. I've been struggling a little bit mentally, and I have to stay off social media or be very intentional about my time on social media because it's been affecting my mood a lot, because I'll get on social media and see posts of my previous clients working with other photographers, which I'm happy for the other photographers because I believe in community over competition. However, it's hard to see a post from another photographer and think like, damn, I've taken their family's photos for the last 5 years and now I'm too expensive for them. I've also gotten my first bad review saying I was too expensive. Bad review for me is 4 stars. It's my first review that's not 5 stars, and that was just difficult, especially with it being them saying I'm just simply too expensive. Like, it wasn't even anything that I could really fix. Like, it wasn't that they weren't happy with the photos or the experience. It simply just made me feel, I guess, like they didn't value what it was that I was offering. So it kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. This is also the first time in like 5 years of me doing photography that I actually have 0 galleries to edit. Like, I'm completely caught up on editing, and that's because I just haven't had photo shoots lately. And that can be scary because that's not what I'm used to. Even at this time of year, I typically have a couple sprinkling in, But again, that was with my old pricing and old clientele. So I live in a very small town, and a lot of people, like friends and family of mine, will tell me that I'm too expensive, that I can't charge that much because people here just simply don't have the money. But I refuse to believe that. When someone says you're too expensive, it's easy to believe them and think that what you're offering isn't worth the price. But the truth is, when someone says too expensive, that's not what they really mean. It's typically not the price that's the problem, but something else, like how you're delivering the value, your messaging, or maybe that they don't see the difference between you and a cheaper photographer. So basically, you just have to show them the value of what it is you have to offer. So, like I said, I'm in the valley of despair. I'm at the point where I could turn around. I could lower my prices and, yes, get more clients. However, they wouldn't be my ideal clients. They wouldn't be the clients who truly value the experience and the photos. And I'll be stuck in that loop again of burning out and taking on so many clients just to make enough money. But it's a familiar loop. It's one that I know how to live with, one that I could be content in. Or I could go the other direction, the other side of the road, and climb out of the other end of the valley, which is much steeper and much more difficult. And it's a journey that I don't even have the skills or tools that I need to climb that steep of a hill, of a mountain. But I'm going to find a way because that's the only way I'll see growth in my business and in myself. I finally understand failure on a whole nother level, how entrepreneurs have to be willing to fail in order to grow and succeed. And I'm at the point where most people turn around. So if I want to create a business that stands out and that truly feels special, I need to be able to push through and climb the difficult climb. My husband said something. I should preface, I don't like talking about my business with my husband because we just have very different business perspectives. We both have our own businesses, and so like sometimes I try and talk business with him, but we both run our businesses very differently. And he's supportive of me, but he just says a lot of stuff that I don't agree with. And so one thing he said was something along the lines of, you should lower your prices. It's basic supply and demand. You don't have demand right now, so you shouldn't be charging such high prices. And I almost believed him because, I mean, it makes sense. It's basic economics 101. But then I realized supply and demand doesn't work the same for luxury brands. Do you know why? Lower demand equals lower pricing. That's true for commodity markets, meaning stuff people buy because they need it or because all versions look the same. So, like apples, gas, airplane tickets, they're interchangeable. If demand dips, then price adjusts. Because if you think about it, if you need gas, you're probably not going to a gas station that's 3 times the price as all the other gas stations because it's gas. So they have to watch their competition's prices in order to stay relevant. But photography is not all identical. And photography is not a need, it's a luxury. You're not selling apples. You're selling an experience, a brand, a feeling, a transformation. So that puts you in the value-based pricing world, not the commodity world. Luxury pricing follows a very different economic principle. Luxury brands create demand by being expensive, not the other way around, because luxury buyers aren't actually buying the product. They're buying status, experience, identity, trust, uniqueness, quality, emotion. You're not buying that when you're buying gas. So if you think about it, if Gucci lowered their prices tomorrow, they wouldn't become more in demand. They'd lose their entire luxury audience and attract Walmart shoppers who would still only complain about their prices being too expensive. So your photography is the same. If you lower your prices, you attract the wrong market, and if you higher your prices, then you attract people who value photography emotionally, not transactionally. So for luxury brands, demand is actually created through positioning and not pricing. Wealthy clients do not search for the cheapest photographer. They are not just price searching. They're looking for the photographer with the best branding, the one who all of their friends used or feels trustworthy and elevated, the one who understands their aesthetic, and the one who gives a luxury experience. Meaning, your demand increases when your brand matches your price. So lowering your prices won't increase demand the way you think. Here's what actually happens when photographers drop their prices out of fear, because ultimately that is the reason I would be lowering my prices, is fear of not getting booked, fear of not making enough money. But if I let fear control my demand and my pricing, then this could cause past clients to get confused. They might feel like, why is it suddenly not worth what I paid for? It could cause potential premium clients to stop trusting you. It could also cause these past clients to stop trusting you. It will attract budget shoppers again. You will burn out, and raising the prices later becomes 10 times harder because, again, you've lost that trust. So if you raise your prices and then lower them, then you lose the momentum that you are building towards the premium market. Now that I think about it, though, this time last year, I had the same feelings and fear. The fear that I'm not going to make it through the winter because money is tight, so I need to lower my prices. But the difference between now and last year is last year I did lower my prices. I didn't have a business coach helping me and teaching me why these things matter, and I lowered my prices out of fear, which my prices were not even that high to begin with. So last year around this time, I actually offered like Christmas mini sessions for like $125. And the only thing that got me was more burnout. I spent over half the amount of the money I made on props alone. But not only that, I spent days to launch these mini sessions and create the marketing and messaging for them. I thought they would be a huge hit because the price was so low. I thought everyone was going to want to book these mini sessions, but the truth is, I had maybe 3 people book. And what that tells me is that my price isn't the problem. No matter if you charge $300 or $3,000, somebody is going to be there to tell you you're too expensive. So instead of price matching and using lower prices to create your demand, you're going to use your messaging, the trust you build, the emotional connection, the visibility, the experience. You're going to use all of these things to create your demand because luxury markets create their own demand. And the best part is that demand isn't fixed. You can grow it, you can shift it, and you can attract more of the right people with the right strategy. So it's not that my price is wrong. It's that I'm in the building phase of a new market and I'm trying to attract a whole new audience, and that isn't always easy and it takes time. So I'm going to give you the exact formula successful luxury brands follow, and I'm also going to break it down for you. So first one is price equals identity. Second is demand equals perceived value. And third is growth equals consistency. So let's break these down. First one, price equals identity. This means that the price you choose to charge is not just a random number. It signals who you are and what kind of experience you offer. Luxury brands use their price to communicate exclusivity. So they're communicating that this is something special, a special offer that not everyone gets access to. They're communicating the level of care and the level of intention they put into every single step. They're communicating the transformation, why their product is going to improve their client's life, how it could actually take you from one place to another. So for photographers, the transformation can be building confidence. You're going to become more confident after this photo shoot. Or it can even be shifting the transformation of how a client views photo shoots. Maybe your client starts off as a photo shoot is just another task they have to check off their to-do list every year. And after they work with you, you've transformed them into this mindset of now Photo shoots are something fun and exciting that they actually look forward to. Prices also communicate what client you are trying to serve. They set a certain expectation for the clients. So there might be clients that you are actually too expensive for. It's like they value everything you have to offer and really want to work with you, but they just can't afford it at the time. But that's okay because you want working with you to be like a reward, something that they get to be excited for, something that they've saved for and planned for, not just like a last minute decision. Here's an example of what your prices could communicate as a photographer. So if you're a photographer who charges around $250, this could communicate the message of, I take cute photos for anyone. And look, that's not exactly a bad thing. This used to be me also. But if you're a photographer who has a price of around four figures, 1200 or something like that, then this communicates the message of, I offer a curated, intentional, elevated experience for a specific person, not just for anyone. If you lower your price, you lower your identity. This is why premium brands never do random discounts, because it confuses their identity. A discount kind of suggests that what you're paying for isn't worth the actual price. And I've thought about this a lot lately too, and I have tried to not offer discounts anymore. I used to offer a lot of discounts too, but instead of offering discounts, I offer bonuses. So where I would give 10% off, instead I'm giving like print credit or an extra outfit or extra time, just like bonuses instead of less money for you, which is what luxury brands do. And this is also why you shouldn't yank your prices down based on fear. I have worked hard all year to build up this new luxury experience and brand. So if I suddenly changed my prices, it could have people asking, why is her work suddenly not worth the price? And have past clients losing their trust in me. So that is how price equals your identity. Next, we're moving into demand equals perceived value. Definition of perceived value is the assessment made by customers regarding the worth of a product or service based on its ability to meet their needs and expectations, particularly compared to competing offerings. Perceived value is what they believe you can do for them. So demand is not going to be based on the number of photographers in your area or based on how many competitors charge less or even based on the literal service that you offer. It used to always confuse me how when people pay more, they get less. So if you think about it in like a restaurant perspective, like if you go to a luxurious 5-star restaurant, the portions are teeny tiny. Like you're getting a little bit of food, but that's because what you're paying for isn't exactly the food, it's the experience. It's eating the food in the luxurious restaurant that has an atmosphere you wouldn't get anywhere else. Like the waiter makes sure you have everything you need. You're not waiting for your water to be constantly refilled. You're feeling taken care of and you're paying for that status. You're paying for that feeling of being taken care of. Luxury buyers don't just buy more images or a longer session. I used to think that in order to raise my prices, I had to deliver a large amount of images or I had to shoot for like 6 hours. But that's not the case at all because luxury buyers aren't buying your specific service in that way. They're buying your confidence, the status, the trust, the effortlessness, the emotion, and that feeling of being taken care of. So let's talk about how do you increase your perceived value? Well, having strong branding will increase your perceived value. Branding is really the feeling people have when they come across your business. So make it clear what it is that feeling is. You can also increase your perceived value through emotional messaging. Being so intentional about your messaging makes a huge difference. And in so many ways, probably more than you even think of, this can be in your Instagram captions or your emails or really anywhere potential customers could be reading what you're writing. One of the best ways to increase your perceived value is through testimonials, having really impactful testimonials that highlight the transformation your client went on is huge. And also, a stunning portfolio that feels elevated. Make sure you have beautiful photos to actually present and back up everything you're saying. And then also, beautiful guides and resources will increase your perceived value. So, this can be like sending your clients an outfit guide, or maybe you have helpful blogs that you can send them to answer questions. So, when your perceived value goes up, demand will naturally increase, even at a higher price point. Okay, number 3 is growth equals consistency. And this one is the hardest for creatives, but it's the one that changes everything. So, luxury brands only grow because they stay consistent with their visual identity, because they stay consistent with their messaging, consistent with their pricing, with their customer experience, with the quality of their products, with how often they show up. They don't panic and change their prices. They don't change their branding every month, and they don't disappear and come back randomly. Consistency builds trust, and trust creates demand. So for me personally right now, demand feels low because my perceived value isn't fully matching my pricing yet. Not because my pricing is wrong, it's a brand alignment problem, not a price problem. And that's because I'm still learning. I'm allowing myself to fail because you have to be bad at something before you can be good at it. So I still have to practice showing my leads the value of my photography and how I can transform them. So I'm working on selling, I'm learning sales and figuring out how to create a pitch and working on my messaging. And if I simply turned back and lowered my prices again, I wouldn't have to work on all of those things because I sold just fine at my previous price point. I had so much work, I was burnt out working every single day. So choosing to move forward with this path is allowing me to grow in ways that I've never done before. And this is why my past clients aren't booking me now, because they were aligned with my old identity and my old price points. So I'm shifting into a new market. And right now, I'm just in the identity building stage of that shift. I'm learning how to showcase the value of my work. Okay, now I'm going to address something that comes with having more expensive pricing and something that's been on my mind a lot lately, and I hope you can relate to it. And it's this feeling of being greedy. That's like one of my biggest fears. I don't want to become greedy and I don't want to take more than what I need. Sometimes I find myself thinking like, do I really need to charge that much? I could charge less and still be okay. But that's because I'm not used to making a profit in my business. It's crazy to think about. My business has never actually made a profit. I'm so used to barely scraping by, just having enough to cover living expenses. So when I actually have a little bit of extra money, I feel greedy. But the truth is, my business was failing because of this. Yes, I was surviving, but my business was not thriving or growing. Part of this feeling comes from fear of rejection and being afraid that nobody's going to book me, that I'm asking too much. But you cannot give a premium experience at discounted pricing without sacrificing yourself. So I have to constantly remind myself, you don't charge what you charge because you're greedy. You charge what you charge because you care about quality. You care about experience. You care about not burning out. But most importantly, you care about your clients. That's really the biggest one here because you can't pour into your clients when you're tired and stressed and overbooked and underpaid. If my business isn't sustainable, then nobody benefits, not me and not my clients. When somebody pays me, they are not paying for my time, my effort, or my camera. They're paying for my eye, my emotional presence, how I make them feel, the confidence they gain, the memories they keep forever, my creativity, and the transformation I give them. And that's why I charge so much, because if I want to give all of that to my client, I can't take on 20 clients a month. I just simply don't have that much energy. So if they truly want to have this one of a kind experience where I give them all of my creative energy, they're gonna have to pay for it. That's why 2 photographers can shoot for 2 hours and one can charge $300 and one can charge $3,000. It's not about the time they were there. It's about the experience they gave that client. So next time somebody says you're too expensive, you can be confident in your prices and what it is you offer, and know that if they don't book with you, they're missing out on an incredible experience.